After all, Xianxia is only a martial artist of the Third Order Saint King realm, and this martial artist is only a First Order Void Return stage. But to be honest, even the Second Order Void Return stage is not his opponent, so he was somewhat contemptuous. He looked away, then he glanced at Yang Yan. Unexpectedly, under this glimpse, the face of the martial artist changed drastically, as if he saw some horrible scene. He involuntarily stepped back for several steps, and his body directly hit the door of the room, and a loud sound could be heard from it. Immediately he showed an unbelievable look, his narrow eyes opened suddenly, his eyes trembled, and he stretched his fingers to Yang Yan. You. Nephew Xian, what's the matter? Yan Pei stared at him in amazement, and then at Yang Yan, not understanding why the other party looks like Ha has seen a ghost during the day. Yang Kai was also full of doubts, and quietly asked Yang Yan, transmitting his voice, do you know him? Yang Yan shook her head blankly, and replied, I never seen him before. Recognized the wrong person? Yang Kai was even more confused. Although Yang Yan's item refining and formation skills are good, she has always had a good temper, and she shouldn't have any enemies outside, but from the reaction of this martial artist. The other party was obviously extremely afraid of Yang Yan, as if he had suffered a big loss under Yang Yan before, making it unforgettable. Nephew Xian. Yan Pei let out a low voice, and an invisible force of divine consciousness rushed towards the martial artist, which awakened him from the shock. Under the divine consciousness which rushed to the martial artist, surnamed J, the fear in his eyes dissipated a lot, but his forehead was instantly filled with cold sweat, visible to the naked eye. His face turned blue, and his lips turned white. What are you doing? Jiang Kai looked unhappy. Even if this person had suffered something under Yang Yan before, it wouldn't be so bad at this moment, right? What's more, Yang Yan also said that she didn't recognize the other party at all, so it seemed that the other party was more likely to recognize the wrong person. The guy who recognized the wrong person had such an unbearable reaction. It seemed that this guy was also a sheltered person, and Yang Kai snorted coldly, and couldn't help but look down on him. After coming back to his sense, the martial artist surnamed J kept wiping the sweat on his forehead with his hands, but one piece came out after wiping one piece, and it couldn't be wiped clean, and soon his sleeves were wet with sweat. While wiping his sweat, he kept glancing at Yang Yan, but after meeting eyes with Yang Yan he quickly turned away, with a sincere and fearful look. Seeing this, Yang Yan pursed her lips and smiled, and suddenly realized that this person was quite interesting. The corners of her mouth were slightly raised, and she stared at the other fiercely with her beautiful eyes. Under her gaze, the martial artist, surnamed J, slowly trembled his legs and looked around, as if he couldn't wait to find a hole to jump in, or to escape from this place quickly. This looked like being thorned by something, made Yan Pei dumbfounded, and said loudly, Nephew Xian. If you have something to say, please say it. The martial artist surnamed J twitched his mouth, as if he wanted to laugh. He squeezed out an expression that was even more ugly than crying, cupped his fist to Yang Yan in a tentative manner, and asked with a trembling voice, dare to ask this girl. Hi, surname. This sentence seemed to use all of his strength to say. After asking, he waited nervously, swallowing saliva extremely loudly. Yan Pei stretched out his hand to support his forehead, showing a speechless expression. Speaking of it, he knows a little bit about the descendant of his old friend, knowing that the other party has been following the old friend in seclusion. Although he has not much experience, his own cultivation aptitude is heaven-defying. So even if he is only a first-order void return stage, he can still fight someone beyond his cultivation realm. He is the elite of the elites. This time, he was allowed to go out on the order of that old friend, and even if he encountered some troubles on the road, he solved them quickly. The other party is not a timid person. Although he looks a little bit wretched, his spirit is bold and arrogant, which is quite appreciated by him. Yan Pei even intends to send a letter to that old friend and let the martial artist, surnamed J, to stay in the Treasure Assembly Pavilion with an important position. But today's scene made Yan Pei disbelieve. No matter how strong the girl is, she shouldn't scare this nephew J so much as soon as they meet each other, right? What's more, this female looks like a harmless human and animal. Me? Yang Yan smiled slightly, her delicate face bloomed, making the martial artist's surname J dare not look directly at her. My name is Yang Yan. I wonder if you have any advice? Yang Yan. The martial artist's surname J shivered, almost fell to the ground with his butt muttering on his mouth without knowing what he was talking about. Immediately crouched and kept clasping his fists. Don't dare, my name is J Chi, just call me Xiaoqi. As he spoke, his face was accompanied by a flattering smile, set off by the buck teeth, and it became more and more wretched. Xiaoqi. Yang Yan nodded lightly, holding back a smile, with a graceful and noble expression, and lightly opened her lips. Xiaoqi. Yes. Zheqi responded quickly, almost lowering his head into his crotch, very respectful. Is this girl ugly? Yang Yan seemed to ask casually. These words were like a bolt from the blue, causing Zheqi's face to change drastically, and he quickly waved his hand. No, the girl's appearance is graceful, she is the first-class beauty, and has nothing to do with any ugly words. Really? Yang Yan raised her eyebrows and shouted sharply, in that case, why do you look like you are seeing a ghost? I thought I looked graceful. Zheqi became more and more anxious, crying and sulking. Oh. Girl, it is. What is it really? Yang Yan asked, her expression faintly majestic. This scene made Yang Kai and Yan Pei was stunned, because this majesty didn't seem to be pretended, but with a taste that could make anyone surrender. At that moment, even Yan Pei was feeling an illusion that Yang Yan was high above the top. Zheqi was even more unbearable. His legs softened, he knelt directly on the ground. Fortunately, Yan Pei reacted in time, stretched out his hand to lift his body, coughed slightly, and turned his head to look at Yang Kai. Little friend Yang, look. Yang Kai nodded lightly and glared at Yang Yan. Stop it. Somehow, Zheqi is a first-order void return stage cultivator. Although he didn't know why he was afraid of Yang Yan to such a degree, it would be too much for Yang Yan to continue to play tricks on him. Yang Yan spit out her fragrant tongue and pouted. Who makes him so timid? Timid? Yan Pei smiled secretly. The descendant of his old friend is not a timid person, but today's things are too strange, and he can't figure out the whole story. Brother Zhe, right? Yang Kai stood up, cupped his fist at Zheqi slightly, and said with a smile on his face, this senior sister is a bit nutty. She just made a joke. Brother Zhe, please don't care about it. Senior sister? Zheqi was taken aback, and then looked at Yang Kai and his expression changed again. Without the contempt and disdain he had just now, he nodded and said, don't dare, brother is polite. Yang Kai touched his nose, feeling helpless. He always felt that Zheqi was just like a mouse seeing a cat in front of Yang Yan. He groaned for a while. Yang Yan, you should go out first. I'll talk to brother Zhe. Oh. Yang Yan pouted unwillingly after hearing this. No need. Zheqi quickly waved his hand again, as if letting Yang Yan go out and wait for his own sake would make him die. Yang Yan secretly had a headache. She just got into a playful heart and teased him, but she didn't want to do this. Now she feels a little embarrassed. Seeing Zheqi looking at her with a sincere appearance, Yang Kai gave a wry smile, glanced at Yang Yan and winked. Yang Yan understood, covered her face with a black robe hat, and sat quietly aside. Seeing this, Zheqi exhaled heavily. Brother Zhe, please sit down too. Yang Kai greeted with a smile. Zheqi looked at Yan Pei asking for help, and saw that the other party nodded slightly at him. Then he took a seat while succumbing him. It looked like the posture of the younger generation when they met the elders. Even after sitting down, his butt was only touching half of the chair to distinguish his identity. Yang Kai and Yan Pei naturally saw this scene clearly, but didn't say much. That's it, I heard from Mr. Yan that brother Zhe want to exchange that piece of Star Emperor token. Yang Kai looked at Zheqi and asked. Yes. Zheqi's expression was bitter, and he quietly took a look at Yang Yan, and didn't know why, so he explained, if it were not the situation that forced it, my ancestor would not use the Star Emperor token to exchange things. But now, there really is no other way, and please ask Brother Yang and Yang Yan to look at it in a bright view. Yang Kai secretly learned something, but since seeing this Jie Qi, his behavior has been inexplicable, so he wasn't too surprised. And what Brother Jie wants to exchange is flowing flame fire or the whereabouts of soul-cleansing divine water? Yang Kai asked again. Yes. Jie Qi nodded cautiously. Even though this Yang Kai asked Senior Yan to call Brother Jie here, I didn't have anything to say whether it was the flowing flame flying fire or the soul-cleansing divine water. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Jie Qi didn't mind. If Brother Yang wants this Star Emperor token, then let this Jie go back to the family ancestor to ask for permission, and if the family ancestor agrees, I will send it to Brother Yang and girl Yang Yan, which is no problem. Yang Kai looked stunned, and immediately waved his hand. This Yang did not mean it. Although this piece of Star Emperor token has been used, it is still a product refined by the Great Emperor, and its value is extraordinary. This Yang wouldn't want it in vain. Let me take a liberty to AKS. Is there any problem with Brother Ji's senior knowledge? See. Hearing Yang Kai's question, Yan Pei's eyes flashed, and he was secretly surprised that he could guess to this level. As an old friend of the hidden expert, Yan Pei naturally knew why the other party would take out the Star Emperor token to exchange items. What made him even more surprised was that Jie Qi readily admitted and there was no intention to evade the question, and nodded. What Brother Yang said is true. 6 months ago, the family ancestor were conspired by the villain and the knowledge sea is poisoned, so flowing flame flying fire or soul-cleansing divine water was needed. Because according to the family ancestor, only these two things can remove the poison from the knowledge sea. To be continued.